What's up, everybody? So, shorter hair, trim the beard. What do you think? Good, right? Right. No, sorry, that's kind of a lame way to start this. I have an interesting, had an interesting week, I'll say. Had some good conversations with some people, and they sort of, well, I'm kind of frustrated. Which I know you're all thinking, oh, surprise, surprise, Brett's frustrated. He's making a video. I wonder what it is this time. And by you, I mean like the 12 people that watch this video. Anyway, I was kind of frustrated because it was brought to my attention it's never fun to be disappointed. You know, when you have certain expectations and you have a certain sort of rapport with a person or a group of people, you know, and it turns out that that wasn't true, like that wasn't really how they are. It can just be disappointing. I mean, I know I've had lots of friends where I'll be really close with them, and there will be there's a lot of camaraderie and sort of connection between us, and then something shifts. Something usually I can't put my finger on what it is, but something shifts. Maybe I say something, maybe they say something happens, and it just sort of, something clicks, and it all turns weird. And I think that's really sad. And it's frustrating and kind of disappointing because it's like, what changed? What really is different now that caused that? But my frustration is actually it's not so much with like personal changes and sort of relationship weirdnesses with friends, and, you know, just not really talking about that as much, even though, and if I was, I would be the last person qualified to talk about that kind of stuff. But my frustration today is, it's with my fellow Mormons. Actually, it's with a very specific subset of my fellow Mormons. And the problem is that most likely the people that I'm making this video for will never watch it. And if they do, they will fail to see that I'm talking to them. But I feel compelled to make it anyway. And so I hope that the message that I'm conveying gets across to the right people at the right time. And I mean this is that I am frustrated, but I don't mean what I have to say to come across as I'm better than you, or to come across as I know more than you, or any of that. This is just me kind of getting something off my chest. A lot of places that I've traveled, I've been in a lot of places. I've traveled. I've been to Australia. I've been to Europe. Been to Africa. Been to South America, Central America, you know, North America. I've been in a lot of different places. Talked with a lot of people, and there have been a lot of experiences where, when it becomes apparent, or when I bring up that I'm a Mormon, there are lots of experiences where it's a positive thing. People are like, "Oh yeah, I knew a Mormon. They were cool. They were so nice. They were very nice. They were very helpful." Things like that. And I found that to be the case in a lot of different places. But more and more recently, I have come across situations where people have had less than positive experiences with Mormons. And it's interesting. Well, one of the first experiences that I had, I stopped leading with being Mormon a long time ago. In fact, I try as hard as I can to not, you need to know me for like 3 weeks before I'll tell you that I'm Mormon. Unless, you know, sometimes people are associated with other friends, other people that already know, and so they'll find out from them, or they'll, you know, Facebook stalk me or whatever, which is weird. And they'll find out just sort of from context clues. But I really, it's important, and it's sad that I have to do this, but I really want to make my first impression myself, and not have the fact that I'm Mormon keep me from getting to know somebody or getting close to somebody, just because of the fear that that person has of what I could do, what I could say or do, you know, to them. So I was in Utah, actually, of all places, Mormon capital of the world, and I needed to take an Uber from Salt Lake City down to Provo to go visit my brother. And I got in the car. The guy that I was driving with, I struck up a conversation with him, as I do, and he started talking about Mormons in Utah. He lives in Utah, so he knows all about Mormons. But he had not had positive experiences. And so I sort of started to approach and dig a little. I wanted not really to pry, but I wanted to kind of get an idea of what his experience had been and what had happened. And he had some good experiences. He knew that most of the Mormons there in Utah were good people. They were nice people, and they were helpful. But he had been screwed over pretty bad by a couple of Mormons, and he'd had several pretty bad experiences with neighbors in Utah being less than Christian, we'll say, with him and with his kids. He had a business associate that absolutely screwed him over. Supposed to have this job, supposed to last for a certain amount of time. He ended up not getting paid. The guy ended up, it was this whole thing. It was ridiculous. And I was interested because that was not something that I was expecting of somebody living in Utah. Because Utah is like as I said, the capital of Mormonism, so to speak. And you'd think that there, the basic tenets of a Christian faith would be lived. But it seemed that wasn't the case. And, since then I've had several experiences with friends where it becomes, where they will come to me and they will say, man, I really appreciate, and this is the part that I don't want you to think that I'm better than you. I'm just different. I just approach things differently. And I want you to see that the point of what I'm trying to say here is that if you're the type of person that I'm speaking to, you need to examine yourself, because you're hurting the people around you and you're hurting me specifically, making my life more difficult. I've had several experiences since then, and recently as I've started to get to know some more people, and over the last couple of years, and there have been some really terrible things done and said. Coworkers that will look up people on Facebook and then come back the next day and berate them for all the things that they're doing. Or and I had another Uber driver when I was in Arizona who went off about how Mormons can be nice people, but they're extremely judgmental. And it was this whole, they think they're better than everybody else. And to a certain extent, we have to admit, Mormons, that we kind of do. And it's not okay. We have this, and you Mormons will get this reference, but we have this sort of approach to our relationship with everybody around us that's actually not that far removed from like the Zoramites and the Rameumptom. I would recommend that you go back and read through the prayer that they read at the Rameumptom, and then listen in your next fast and testimony meeting. Today happened to be fast and testimony meeting, and I love all the people in my ward. I'm not trying to be judgmental. I'm just making an observation, which is, I was reminded of the prayer that the Zoramites made at the Rameumptom. For the rest of you, I know this is a very specific reference, and I apologize. But the whole thing about, we thank you that we're the most blessed of your children. We thank you that we're going to be saved by you. We thank you that we're not like all the people around us. How many times do you get up in sacrament meeting or in fast and testimony meeting, or hear other people get up and talk about how they're so grateful that they have this amazing thing? When are we going to talk about what needs to be done? When are we going to talk about how we really feel? When are we going to talk about what we really believe, instead of just reciting platitudes that we've been taught to recite since we were kids? Like, when is it going to become? When are we going to start actually living our religion? The basic teachings of the religion. Because it's ridiculous. There is no reason for any Mormon that has an inkling of what Mormonism is about to ever have anything negative to say about anybody. That's just so unchristian to go around and be judgmental and say, oh, you're terrible. You're so bad because of the life that you're choosing to live. You're going to rot in hell. There's really literally no difference between those types of snarky comments and like what the Westboro Baptist Church is doing, or what the Pharisees did. I am so afraid that the Mormon Church is becoming, like most other Christian and Protestant denominations, way more and more Pharisaical as the days go by. And we talk about how bad the Pharisees were in the time of Christ. And yet that's what we are. And the reason why I say before that you're hurting the people around you and you're hurting me is that type of thing makes it difficult for me to justify being a part of it. when I have to apologize for this whole group of people that don't live, they don't understand the basic tenets of what we're talking about, because they make choices, they use their agency to put other people down. That's like the worst thing you can use your agency for. Literally, it's like the worst thing you can do. You have no right. You have no moral right or obligation to say anything like that, to ever put anybody down. I think it's ridiculous. And in fact, the more that you let yourself sort of sit in that mindset and think that what you think is more good than what someone else thinks, or what you choose to do every day is better than what someone else chooses to do every day, the more that you let yourself sit in that spot and not grow and not really understand what Christianity is all about, it doesn't work. You're never going to get what you're looking for, most likely because you're not actually looking for it. I would encourage you to look back in the New Testament, read it, especially you Mormons, because I don't think we do nearly as often as we should. Because our example, the person that we're supposed to be emulating, the person that all Christians are supposed to be emulating, when he came, he hung out with the bad people, sinners, people that were considered by the church standards to be subpar. And here's the leader, here's the guy that we're supposed to be following in all of our lives. And somehow we get it in our heads that it's okay for us to another person, belittle them and berate them for the choices that they're making. Where is that? Where is that example given to us? Who gave us that example? Who told us that it was okay to ever make somebody feel like crap? Who gave us the idea that being super judgmental and to people's faces and treating them as though they were less than human was an appropriate thing to do? Because it wasn't Jesus. So I'm curious. I would ask you, who taught that to you? Who gave you that thought that that was okay? Because I don't have any idea. And the same thing goes, it's not just for Mormons, it's for the whole subset of Christianity that is so rooted in their own indoctrinated belief system that they are unable to consider the possibility that their approach to life is unchristian. That there's so much, I don't know. It frustrates me because it makes me not want to be Christian. It makes me want to distance myself. And I do. I distance myself from Christianity on purpose. Not from Christ, necessarily, not from God, necessarily, but from the organization of Christianity, the body of Christianity, because I don't think it represents what it's supposed to represent. And that's what I want to represent. I want to represent the qualities and the principles of kindness and long-suffering and helpfulness and love and connection with people and just general goodness, general not being a doucheness. And yet somehow we've gotten into our head that there are things that we're allowed to beat other people around with. One of my friends made a great analogy. It was religion should be like a hair color or like a beard. It's just part of you. It shouldn't be like a whip that you use to beat other people with. And I love that. I think that hits it right on the head. Because the minute we start to use our religion as a tool for oppression, and we can look into the history of every, especially Christian, but every really major world religion, well, not every, most major world religions, religion has become like a whip. This thing to keep other people down, to keep people in line. As opposed to what it should be, which is a guide to help you be not a douchebag. Essentially, that's what religion is about. Be a decent person. Just be a decent person. Don't try and go around making everything else different. Just be a decent person. And I think that's my message to you, you people that seem to think that it's okay for you to say things and be judgmental and be crass and just be unkind. Just stop doing that. Learn what your religion, the thing that you're based, that's the crazy thing, the thing that the very whip that you're using to beat somebody else with is the thing that's teaching you not to do that. It's supposed to teach you not to do that. I think it's ridiculous, and I can't connect with that. I can't be a part of that. I have my own beliefs, and I will freely share my beliefs, and I will freely own up to my beliefs and what I am, what's important to me. But it's very difficult for me to continue on as part of a group of people that don't seem to embody the very tenets that their religion or faith espouses. Because I'm honestly trying to live mine. I'm honestly trying to do what I think I'm supposed to do. Trying to discover what's right and what's wrong, and what to do in certain situations. And that is no good, I don't think. So I would beg you, if you either identify yourself as one of those types of people, stop. Just be a good person. Forget about what other people are doing. It's not your responsibility. Just be a good person. And for those of you that may be watching this that have been hurt by Mormons, I sincerely apologize on behalf of them. They won't, but I can. They were wrong, 100%. And I feel for you. And I wish I could just take you into my home and give you a hug and feed you some food and say, look, they were mistaken. They didn't get it. I wish all the people at the Westboro Baptist Church persecuted could come here, and I could get to know them, and they could see how much I love them, and see that that's not what we're supposed to be representing. That's not it. That's just being a terrible person. So if you have been affected, I'll say, by any type of Christian, Mormon, anything sort of persecution, I feel for you, and I'm sorry. For the rest of you, just stop. Just be a decent person. That's what we're supposed to do anyway. That's the whole point. That's all I got.